What's up guys, welcome to today's video. Lots of good news, lots of little updates, and one of the first things that we're going to talk about is with the brown chaser. So I am very excited to announce to you guys there is going to be a, I guess it's not a second drift week of 2020, but a second drift week in late 2020. And although I didn't want to take the same car again, I have decided I'm going to take the brown chaser along with some updates. So I'm super excited, but I don't want to wait till last minute like I did last year and then have a bunch of last minute problems and run into some issues. So we're going to start focusing on this now while we're waiting for the engines to get back from the machine shop for the R34 and the Mustang. And I'm going to do my best to walk you through some of the changes. So one of the first things I want to show you guys, I don't remember if I filmed it well, but one of the first things that me and Johan did together was get the AC, or I should say the heater working, because that was my biggest concern for the last drift week. Now, I don't remember if I filmed how ghetto this solution was, but this whole like climate control box is cracked to the point where it leaks, and we needed to seal it up with this gold foil is what we chose, just to get an air seal so it would properly suck it through the core and blow hot air. And it worked, and it got us through. But in theory, that should also work with the AC. And it appears as if right now, I just have a bad compressor, so maybe just changing the compressor will solve that, and then the car will have AC. Now, if you want to get real fancy, I do have another entire climate control box for underneath here, but the problem is all of this from the firewall is so pushed in that I couldn't even fit a new one up there. So if this doesn't work and we need to change the box and mess around with that stuff, we'll need to literally cut that part of the firewall out and weld a new piece in just so we can have proper room for that. What would you call that, Johan? Is that a heater box, heater core?
Yeah, that's what the heater core and the AC system is all together back there, and it's like there's no way to separate it unless you do aftermarket stuff.
We did swap the fan on it though from the other one, right?
Yeah, so we used the fan from the other one and jammed it in the broken box to make it work.
And it worked.
Yeah.
But anyway, what Johan's doing right now, he's just pulling the compressor off. And while we're doing that, I decided while I'm messing with the AC system, this thing still has just a normal stock condenser. I ordered this forever ago when the White Chaser was originally supposed to be a drift car. This is an HPI radiator saver, the same one that I have in my R32 Skyline. Not a sponsored thing, I wish it was because they make a lot of really cool stuff. But it's essentially a half-size condenser that bolts up to the factory location, so you get a little bit more airflow through the radiator so you can stay a little bit cooler on track. And I find that my AC and my R32, even with such a small condenser, still stays ice cold. I would imagine with the technology they use in it, it's probably just as efficient as a full-size stock condenser, but with the added benefit of the car running cooler. So I'm excited about that. That's one of the changes, trying to get AC in the car, and I'll walk you guys through the rest. So this is a look at the stock condenser versus the radiator saver. Obviously it's about half the size, but I'm sure, like I said before, it's probably more efficient too, and half these fins are bent anyway. So what I'm planning to do for Drift Week, I want to try to keep this car simple and reliable, but at the same time, I want to have a little bit more power than last time, just so on some of the bigger tracks, I'm not struggling to keep up with some of the faster cars. So what we're actually going to do is take the exact setup off the White Chaser, the turbo, the manifold, downpipe, intercooler piping, everything, because it's been tried and true, I know it works. Pop it on this car, and then that car is going to get a bigger setup with a 3.5-inch exhaust, as well as a bigger turbo and the new manifold. So the White Chaser will turn into kind of more of a big turbo street car, and then that small, super responsive setup should be perfect on this for us to make, let's say, roughly, I'm hoping for like low 400s on pump gas, and then if I get a chance to put some E85 in it, it'll be flex fuel, and then I can turn it up closer to the high 400s. So nothing crazy power-wise, but enough to where third gear becomes a lot more usable rather than just like a you gotta stay floored to stay in drift. One of the big pieces of good news that I have is that I have found someone that is gonna take care of the R34 for me and get the bay repainted. It's gonna push the timeline a little bit back, but I wanna do it right, and I am waiting on engine parts like I said before. So I've got a trip coming up next week, and while I'm gone, the engine bay is gonna get completely redone to like show level quality, paint job that would have been what I should have received for what I paid for the other job. And it's an annoying situation, but I'm happy that it's gonna be in the hands of someone that's very talented, and that it'll actually come out the way that I wanted it to. So you'll see right now it has no subframe on it, so tomorrow we're gonna make a little dolly, that way we don't have to put all the subframe stuff back in and can leave it out. And the rear, we're starting to toy with some stuff. It'll mostly be covered in another video, but I won't be using these brakes anymore. They're probably gonna go on the R32. What brakes did I get? I don't know, we'll have to find out. But then we're gonna start dealing with all the subframe stuff in terms of swapping subframes, deleting height kits, swapping to the 411 diff. Lots of little stuff, but I'm excited. Now, the past 2 weekends, we've actually had clothing drops on LZMFG, which is a little abnormal for us because normally they're like once a month or whatever. Now, this weekend, we don't have a drop, but I do have something cool for you guys. So if you look at this shelf, it is stacked to the max with hoodies. And I don't want to have a ton of hoodies going into the summer, so we're doing a special mystery bundle deal, and I'm going to show you guys the rundown. This is one pack that will be available. It comes with one of our beanies, one of our sets of polarized sunglasses, a random t-shirt, and a random hoodie. Now, the retail value of all this stuff would be like $120. In the mystery bundle, where you don't know what you're gonna get, but at least you get to pick your size, 50 bucks. And then we're doing a second big baller bundle, where you get one of our koozies, polarized sunglasses, a license plate frame, a random t-shirt, a random hoodie, and a backpack, which if you bought everything at retail value would be $175. Sale price, 80 bucks. So those two mystery bundles are live now if you want to check them out. The link is in the description. We don't have unlimited stock in every size, so there's a good chance your size might sell out. So if you are interested in one, act fast. And as always, orders always come with a nice handful of stickers. We still have lots of cool die cuts left for you. Now, the moment that you've all been waiting for. You may or may not have seen a particular thumbnail on this video of something that's a very stupid decision that I made a while ago. But let me explain. Now behold your eyes on my new jet ski. What we have here is a Kawasaki Super Chicken. Now, if you don't know anything about jet skis, this is for sure not something fast, something crazy, or something that's necessarily the most fun. This was a very random and obscure jet ski from the 90s, and what made it so cool is it's a side-by-side jet ski where you can sit on here, and you can actually slide the steering wheel from the right to the left. And then you can pass it back and forth with your passenger. Now, Grant had one of these, if you guys remember my video when I was up in Connecticut, and I thought it was the coolest thing. It was just so stupid and fun to just cruise on the lake with this dumb, loud looking, funny thing. And they're actually pretty rare and pretty hard to come by, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of like a little collector thing. It's kind of nostalgic of the 90s, and I've been kind of keeping my eye out, and one of my friends, Ben, found one in Daytona, I believe. He checked it out, drove over and picked it up for me, and this has actually been sitting in the back of the warehouse for probably like almost a half a year now. A plan is to bring it up to Connecticut. I didn't know when that was going to happen, and I didn't want to like, look at my new jet ski that I'm never going to use. So it's been sitting patiently waiting a Connecticut trip. And if you guys can guess what I'm about to say, I'm telling you now because the Connecticut trip is coming soon. It's not in the best shape. It's pretty decent for how some of these end up looking. You can tell it has new graphics and the seat's been reupholstered, but for the most part, this thing is in original condition and it has some scratches and bumps here and there. Cool little feature, this little cooler holder back here, this rack and this cooler are actually pretty rare and desirable. And I think one of these coolers actually just sold online a few days ago for $600. So what's cool is I got a pretty good deal on it because it came with a cooler and because of what is underneath this seat. So these come with a 650cc two-stroke engine, and what's cool about this one, if you notice, it looks a little bit fancy. It's got some little mods like a bilge pump and little plugs and block-offs here and there, but the engine in this has actually been built. So it's not just the standard 650cc. There's a company called Group K that did a refresh and build on it. It's called their sleeper build, which will get like, I think like 6 or 7 more mile an hour of top end. I don't know the horsepower or any of that stuff, but I think it's like maybe 1 mil overbore or something like that. I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't know a lot about these jet skis. I just was around Grant all summer, who kind of has a profession of restoring them, collecting them, trading them, whatever. And I thought it was really cool and I wanted to join in with him. So this is gonna go up in Connecticut so I can cruise around with Grant and we can mob out on our Super Chickens. And I'm hoping he can teach me more about jet skis because I don't really know much about it. Now I've actually ridden jet skis before, but I don't even know much about two-stroke engines. I went to go check the oil and then everyone started laughing at me. Sorry for being diligent. But I wanted to show you guys and talk about it just because of the fact that I am gonna be working on it a little bit. I got some high-speed rated tires along with wheels, so these ones can be spares, and some new hubs for the trailer. Because Tommy's actually gonna be bringing it up for me and he's like, I can't drive slower than 65 miles an hour if you have some crappy trailer tires on there. So I wanted to make sure that it would be good to go for him so he could go whatever the speed his little heart desires. And we know Tommy, it's gonna wind up in his video. It's gonna be hard to keep it out of photos and stuff. So although I would have loved to keep it a secret until I'm up into Connecticut and I can use it. And the reason I'm using Connecticut, not Florida, is because my dad lives on a lake, so it's easy to use there. We're like here at after trailer to a lake, and that's just kind of dumb. But anyway, yeah, I'm excited, and believe it or not, it actually runs. It still has a stock exhaust. I think this is another stock exhaust. I don't know why it has two or what the deal is with that, but Grant's gonna help me find an aftermarket exhaust for it so we can pick up a little bit more power. But I'm sure you guys are curious what it sounds like. It has a dead battery now, so I gotta do that. Get ready for it. Now, I obviously can't run it for very long because it's not in the water, but I'm pumped. Like my first little stinky two-stroke. It's such a stupid jet ski, but I don't know. I think especially with all the pink birch we've been doing lately, I've been like super inspired by this thing, and it's so cool and retro, and I love it. So I hope you guys like my jet ski, and I hope you support of my decision to get a silly Kawasaki Super Chicken to smoke out my whole shop. Been messing around with a little bit of angle stuff on the chaser. I think I might want to switch to a different knuckle because these ones have a ton of Ackerman in them. But I will show you. I managed to squeeze out a tad more angle with a rack spacer since my limiting factor for angle wasn't any sort of bump stop. It was actually the tie rod just bottoming out on the rack. So the rack spacer is like a little washer that lets it go farther inside the rack. So you can see I got more angle, but like I said, there's a ton of Ackerman where this wheel right here, we want to be turned more like this. Otherwise it's going to slow us down a ton when we're at big angle. The setup on the car right now is the Hayman 800 PS knuckles, and the kind of benefit of keeping that is I have a bunch of spares for those control arms and those knuckles versus switching to a new setup and they're rendering 3 sets of lower control arms and knuckles useless. I have bad news that I haven't told you guys yet. Every time I drive this thing in the morning and in the evening, I've been having to bleed it. I have that same problem I had before, even though we went through the effort of actually like sanding them down and roughing them up. The silicone on the billet ITB adapter is leaking again, so the car loses like half a water bottle of coolant every time I drive it. There's no solution unless I take them off again, machine them and O-ring them, but to do that I have to pull the engine because then take manifold won't come off in the car. And it's moments like this that make me slightly regret having the ITB adapters versus just having a single throttle body with slightly less response, because it's slowly just ruining the drivability of this car having to take it apart so often. Alright, so I got the compressor on. I'm hoping it'll work. We're gonna bring it over to go get a charge. I'm gonna flush out the radiator real quick because this thing's like super rusty. And then other than that, yeah, I mean, I wanted to pull the turbo setup off, but I want to make sure the AC works before I start complicating things and adding more variables. So we're gonna go make sure the AC works and then pull all the turbo stuff off. It's crazy how quiet this thing is. Even open downpipe right now, it's still not that loud.
Not loud at all.
Right?
Adam got himself wet.
Can you see and tell me if there's rusty water coming out?
Kind of see it. It's dark.
This is what you call a coolant flush.
More.
I wonder if the thermostat's preventing some of it from coming out. Does that make sense?
Yes. There's water going everywhere.
Cold start, no coolant wrap.
JG life.
It's like a Z, but with character.
But good.
Yeah, but cool, and like doesn't make girls hate you.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to potentially even swap the turbos between cars in this video, but it's just not happened. I'm already a day behind. I've been working on this motion sim that I got at my house that I wanted to show you in this video, but I forgot to film because I was just getting frustrated because it's been taking me forever to put together. I'm like, I gotta have like 10 hours in this thing and I'm still not done. So I'll show you that soon. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's a fun one. I'm excited for the summer, and I will see you soon.